most everyone here. I'm going to call to order the City of East Cleveland Financial Planning and Supervision Commission, and would the secretary please take the roll?
Mayor King.
Present.
Council President Stevenson.
Present.
Ms. Armstrong.
Here.
Mr. Davis.
Present.
Ms. Morgan.
Here.
Ms. Matei Smith.
Present, thank you. All right, distributed to everyone were the minutes from the prior meeting on January 20th of 2021. Could I have a motion to approve those minutes, please?
I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you.
Robert Davis was second.
Okay.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, would the secretary call the vote, please?
Mayor King.
Yay.
Council President Stevenson.
Yay.
Ms. Armstrong.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Ms. Morgan.
Yes.
Ms. Matei Smith.
Yes. All right, having all votes in the affirmative, the minutes as presented are passed and approved. All right, just for general, we have quite a lot of visitors today. I just want to remind everyone that this meeting will not have public comment. The only people that we will ask to comment during this meeting are commission members or the staff from the Auditor of State or the fiscal office who are providing information for the commission. All right, on to the item on our agenda, the report from the financial supervisor. Tisha?
Hello, everyone, and happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with the financial packet. Okay. So before you or on your computer screen is the financial packet as of January 31st, 2021. As you can see, the city is reconciled with a balance of just over $9 million, $9,016,208.96 to be exact. On the bottom of the page, you will see the court accounts. Once again, these are not reconciled. These are only the bank statement balances as of December 31st. On the next page is a listing of all the fund balances. At the very top, I have the deficit funds. The general fund has ended the month of January with a positive balance of just over 5.7 million. You can see that right here. There are currently 10 funds with deficit balances at month end. I know you see 11. The coronavirus relief actually ended with a positive. I forgot to move that little fund down. So that was a little oopsie-daisy on my part, which I apologize. But there are 10 funds that ended the month of January with a deficit. Some of the funds are reimbursable grants. That would be the FEMA grant fund. Fund 2231, that is reimbursed quarterly. The Community Development and SPG, BOCA, and Department of Justice are also reimbursable grants, as well as the School Resource Officers Fund. The city should have cleaned up the deficits with either a transfer and or advance at year end at December 31st. As you can see, that did not happen. So I just want to keep everyone aware that one of the requirements to get out of fiscal emergency is to clean up all deficit funds and accounting report comments, and deficit funds were one of the accounting report comments. So the city will need to work on getting those cleaned up. You may notice overall the packet is larger than what it has been historically. I think we averaged around 13 pages in the past. We're currently at 26 on this packet, and that's due for two reasons. One is the level at which Council has passed their temporary appropriations. It's at a much more detailed level than what has been done previously, and you're going to see that in the subsequent pages. And also due to the number of deficit funds, historically, we've only shown a handful of the funds for detail in the back, in addition to the general fund. Starting with this year, we're actually showing all the funds with the deficit. So you'll see all 11 of these funds at the top. We're going to show the more detail in the back of the packet for the activity. Page 3 of the packet reflects all the activity for all the funds. I just want to make everyone aware that the estimated revenues column reflects a full year of estimated revenues. The appropriation columns is only a temporary appropriation and covers the first 3 months of the year, January through March. The city will need to pass permanent or annual appropriations prior to April 1st.
Tisha, prior to April 1st for the annual permanent appropriation, that's in law?
I believe that's in 5705. I don't
Okay.
know specifically what point section, but 5705 is budgetary law. So if I were to take a guess, that would be my guess. It would be somewhere in that code section.
All right, thank you.
Okay, page 4 compares the estimated revenues to actual revenues received to date as of January 31st. Once again, the revenues are an annual estimate for the whole year. So as of the end of January, 1 month, we should have approximately 8 1/3 of estimated revenues coming in. These are the funds that did not quite meet that 8 1/3 percentage. I have highlighted in yellow, oh no, in green, sorry, on my spreadsheet in green, the funds that are reimbursable grants. I thought it would be easier to color them in as opposed to just reading them off. So all the lines highlighted in green are reimbursable grants. So the city needs to expend the dollars first prior to making reimbursement. The funds in yellow, as part of the estimated revenues for the year, the city is estimating making transfers to these funds during the year. If the annual appropriations do not include those transfers, and or if the city does not make them, then the estimated revenues column will need to be adjusted. So that's just something to keep a watch for whenever the city does pass those annual appropriations. We'll want to make sure that the estimated revenues reflect the transfers that are appropriated. Page 5 portrays similar information as to page 4, just on the expenditure side. The appropriation column, once again, includes amounts for only 3 months. So instead of the 8 1/3, we're looking at 33% or 1/3 of the temporary appropriations as of the end of January. And these are the funds and departments that currently exceed the approximation of 1/3. Some of the larger variances for the mayor, expenditures are mainly salaries and benefits. The courts expenditures include salaries and benefits, as well as the purchase of some desks, office and operating supplies. For finance, expenditures include salaries and benefits, as well as some office supplies. The street fund, expenditures include salaries and benefits, as well as salt material purchases and various equipment repairs. The bond retirement fund, the city has several OPWC loans outstanding, and payment is due twice a year to OPWC. The first one in January, the second one in July, or by July 1st. So timing, it could happen in May. So the expenditure in January is reflective of that first payment. The permanent improvement fund expenditures include the annual lease payment on equipment, remodeling to the fire station, some roof repairs, fencing for the impound lot, and the purchase of light poles. And the last one is the self-insured health care fund. The city is self-insured for health care. Expenditures include the claims and the premium for the third-party administrator. The rest of the pages, which we're going to go through, reflects all the details of the funds. I just wanted to really quickly on this page to mention the other charges for services. That is made up of towing and impound fees. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I will put that on its own line in the future because I know the city has opened that impound lot. So I'm going to slowly scan through the rest of the pages. Again, just to remind you, the expenditures are presented at a much more detailed basis based on how council has passed appropriations. And you, as a commission, please let me know if you want this much detail for future packets, or if you want like a summarized version similar to what I've done in the past, if you like that better. So I'll just slowly scan through the remaining pages. If you have any questions, please.
Tisha, you can hold here a minute. I'm looking at some of these that are quite, some of the estimated revenues, appropriations, and the percent of budget received and expended in some cases is for things like workers' comp, the benefits, the worker compensation, and the hospitalization. Those are pretty non-controllable expenses, correct?
Workers' comp is due once a year, yes, and hospitalization, the city needs to pay the claims and the premiums as they come due.
So when this, and Ms. Stevenson, I guess this is a question for you. So when these appropriations were put together, did you work with the city to evaluate those kind of expenditures that come on a non-monthly basis and could in fact lead to these higher amounts expended compared to appropriation.
What we did was we left intact pretty much the health insurance and workers' comp situations, to my knowledge. If any were missed, it was by mistake.
Okay, and so like the bond payment that was on the previous page where, or 2 pages back, where bond retirement, those expenditures were much higher than appropriation, but I mean, that's a given, right? That had to happen in January. So this again would have been just an oversight by the council to not appropriate sufficient funds to pay the bonds.
For those particular items, yes.
Are there any? I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead,
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
please.
Go ahead and ask your question.
I was going to say, are any of these that are not through oversight? And if
Yes, there are.
Okay, what was the thought of the council for these?
I would have to pull those well, we'd have to go to the council's page. Basically, what I found was that the council set a budget of one amount of money, and that budget was overspent during the month of January. And those details fall out in my report.
Well, though, I mean, okay. But some of that overspending were expenses that, I mean, the city was kind of obligated to make, right?
Okay, I just got this document, so I really haven't even had a chance to look at it to see where the differences are. But I know that there are some places where the funds were overspent, where council intentionally reduced amounts of money.
Okay. Mayor King, I see your hand up.
Madam Chair, thank you. So Charles is the finance director, is actually on the call, and I don't want to start a back and forth. However,
Yeah.
the original question was, had the council president worked with the finance department to create the temporary appropriations? And
Well, and not council president, but council in general.
so,
And
so,
she's indicated, I think, not.
Madam Chair, there have been
Yeah.
a number of meetings that we have had, either this meeting or council meetings, and I've personally gotten calls and reprimands from members of council that have stated, right? 3 of them have stated, stop referring to the temporary appropriations as a council document. They have stated to me, stop doing that, refer to it as the council president's document.
Okay, Mayor King.
I want her to take credit for this document, that's all.
But I think we resolved that already.
Okay.
I think that she's
Well,
agreed
saying-
that they've not
saying
necessarily worked with the finance department on these bills, because there are some that clearly were not appropriated at a level necessary for required payments that had to be made.
Yes.
So I understand that. I
Okay.
understand she's also making the point that on some line items, they intentionally reduced the amount of the appropriation, and yet those some line items, they were expended beyond that reduction. So I think that we can say that it's a two-way street here, so.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm sorry, Tisha, if you could go on. I think you were just kind of scrolling through. I just wanted clarification on that.
Sure. Stop me at any time. I'll slowly go through the rest of the pages.
Hmm. So as Tisha continues to roll through this, I'm going to ask the commission members at the end whether we want to continue to get this level of detail as Tisha suggested, or, that we consider whether we want less detail or this level of detail on future reports.
Madam Chair, I'm fine either way with the level of detail.
All right.
Doesn't matter either way for me.
And that was the final page.
All right. Thank you.
So that concludes my presentation.
So I'm going to ask the other commission members for comments on the level of detail, if you want to stay at this level, or if you would like something a little bit more along the lines of what we used to see, where she sums up essentially in, there's the department and we know what's payroll, we know what's benefits, and then we know what's, supplies and others, or if you want to continue on this detail.
I don't mind either way. Whatever the commission wants will satisfy my needs.
Sandra? Ms. Morgan? I think we've lost her. Attorney Davis?
I'm sorry, I was muted when I responded before. Yeah, Attorney Davis is satisfied with this level of detail, but can live with either way that the chair wants to proceed. This is fine.
Okay. All right. And I think we dropped Miss Morgan for a few minutes. And she's back with us.
I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry,
So-
it happened.
We were asking Ms. Morgan for opinions on whether you want to continue with this detail or something more rolled up.
Well, and I was just about to raise my hand when I got booted out of the meeting.
Oh,
I'll say that I don't think I need that level of detail on a monthly basis, but I wouldn't mind seeing it quarterly or periodically. You know, Tisha, I know that you've got many responsibilities, and coming up with this level of detail on a monthly basis may be asking a lot. So again, if you can provide it to us quarterly, or, you know, however often I think that the rest of the group agrees with, that would be fine by me.
okay. Ms. Stevenson, do you have thoughts on this?
I'm good with whatever you all decide.
Okay. I kind of, Ms. Morgan, I kind of like your suggestion that on a quarterly basis, so we'd really start with the first end of quarter, I think, in March. So we'd see the same thing in March if we're back here, but then we wouldn't look at that detail again until June. Of
Yeah.
course, if the annual appropriations are passed at, you know, not that detail of a level, then we would stay with the level that they're appropriated. Because you can't really make the comparison if you don't have an appropriation at that level. So we'll see it again the next time we meet, and then we'll see what happens after that. Okay. Are there any other questions for the fiscal supervisor? All right.
I have a question. If
Sure.
I may. I wondered if Tish could tell us what the total for the January expenditures was.
Total for all funds?
Just the January, that column in the January expenditures.
Total
First.
January expenditures for all funds is $1,427,815.32.
And that was on page 3 of the report, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda is kind of the update on the final financial recovery plan. Excuse my typo on the minutes because I call it a review of recovery plan instead of review. So I apologize for that typo, but my understanding at this point that council has not passed a recovery plan. We did at the last meeting indicate Charles was asked to share the draft plan with the commission. I do not believe any of us received a copy of that. Right? So that we cannot look at the draft and make any comments in terms of any concerns or questions we might have. So I will repeat that request at this meeting that all the commission members be given a copy of the draft plan you've prepared, Mayor King.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that would allow us to at least have some opportunity to review it before we get together again.
I will get that to you today. Charles, can you make sure that it goes out today, please?
All right. There is no resolution regarding the recovery plan at this point in time, since we don't have a plan to approve. We had given you that 1 month delay before for a deadline, and had pretty much said that it would be just a 1-month delay. So that leaves us with making sure that the city understands that the one section of the recovery law, which states that your expenditures beginning in March will be set to 85% of the prior year's expenditures. And I just want to be sure that everybody understands that this is a expenditure limit. It is not an appropriation reduction, right? So that we all understand, because I think there's been some confusion about that we look at what was expended in the same month in the prior year, and the city can spend up to 85% of that amount. All right. Of course, given the limits of the appropriations that exist for the items, the funds. And these are by funds, not by line items. So for the total general fund, it's 85% of what was available in the general fund in the prior March in expenditures. So I just wanted to be sure that we all understood that. But that does not require a resolution, because that just takes effect per law. Okay. Any questions? Comment?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a question or a concern. I'll yield to Ms. Morgan.
Okay, Ms. Morgan? I think we just lost her again. She's frozen.
Okay, so I had a whole spiel here for my mayor's minutes, and I won't bore you with my typed up mayor's report at this point. What I will ask is for some kindness and some consideration, a kind cut, if you will. I do know that the commission has some leeway with the 85%, whereas it doesn't have to be 85%. It could be 95%, 90%, 95%. Could be, doesn't have to be the 80. The reason I'm asking you for that, Madam Chair, is I think it's painfully obvious at this point that what we're looking at is something that's not prepared by someone who has municipal finance background, training, experience, and has basically put the city in a bad position. And let me go into a little detail on that.
Well, let me interrupt 1 minute, Mayor King, because okay. I think I don't want this to devolve into, of who did what right, who did what wrong.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
I'm making a plea for a kind cut.
But understand, we're not cutting, and I think that this has nothing to do with what the appropriations are. This is, what did you spend last year on this amount?
So what I'm asking for is a reduction of expenditures that are 5% instead of the 15% that we're looking at. And the reason I'm asking for that is we are obligated for a number of reasons to incur expenditures. So the county is shutting down their dispatch, which means we have to bring it back in-house by April 1st. So by April 1st, we have to have dispatch up and running. We simply do not have it in the permanent appropriations, in the temporary appropriations, I'm sorry. Even with the line item veto that I did, it's still not in there. And when you take it to the expenditure reduction, that makes it even more difficult to then expend this. Now, we have that. We have employees that we've hired since last March that with this reduction and based on the temporary appropriations and the veto appropriations, those employees now have to be furloughed, right? We're talking service, building and housing. Even the council has an employee that was added after afterwards, and all of them have to be furloughed. So please.
Mayor King, I think one of the comments I'm going to make here is that even if we set it at 90%, you don't have the appropriation authority to spend at that level from what it looks like right now. So that was one of the reasons I didn't prepare something for a different percentage, because you're limited to 85% of your prior year or what you have appropriation authority for. And I think that's the part that we need to see that gets corrected. Okay, so let me, Ms. Morgan, I'm sorry.
Oh, quite all right. You know, I guess my question was going to be, what the heck is taking so long on this? I mean, you know, we last month, this time, you know, we understood that it hadn't been resolved. It was supposed to be resolved last month. It wasn't resolved last month. We gave another 30 days, you know, with the idea that, I mean, I know I said it, and I know that Rebecca Armstrong said as well, 30 days is fleeting. It goes by quickly. You know, whatever the issues are, they need to be resolved, because at the end of the day, you know, it's important to have this resolved. We want to have everything organized so that we can proceed with business and help our city to grow. And you know, again, I'm not asking who did what and why they didn't do it and all that sort of thing, but I'm asking you again, whatever the issues are, let's get them settled and get this done. And now, you know, your plea is going to go you know, it's going to go nowhere, because we don't even have the authority to do what you're asking. So please, you and council must come to some agreement, because otherwise we're going out the world backwards on this, and we can't afford to. That's all I was going to say.
Okay.
Well said.
Yes, well said. I will continue to do my part to try and reach across, throw the olive branch out to get this done so that we're all clear. We have presented 2021 permanent appropriations, fiscal recovery plan, and the transfers. So they're in council's purview. They have the documents. They've had them for over a month now. So it's just, we got to keep working together, and I will keep trying to get this done.
And, you know, Mayor King, we will, before we leave today, we'll set the next meeting date like we always do. But there is always, and particularly given the fact that we're meeting virtually, it makes it much easier to come together sooner if we need to. Or if things pass and we want to get out from under this cloud, because it's a cloud right now.
Yes.
I mean, I think every one of us on this commission, we're here because we want to see the city leave fiscal emergency. That's our goal. And so we need to have all parties working together towards that goal and making sure that we get this plan together and presented so that we show that the city is taking steps. And this is, I'm going to say, you know, as Ms. Morgan said, that we need to grow the city. You need to grow the city. And in order to grow the city, you have to show that you're a functioning government. So I encourage you, both council and the administration, to work to resolve these differences and get these things done.
Absolutely.
So any other questions or comments?
Madam Chair, this
Yes.
question, if you're prepared to respond to it. What is your assessment to this point as to the city's progress? If that's premature, just we can move on. It's up to you.
Well, I think we did cover that a little bit last time, right? With Tisha talking about the improvement in the financial health. I think that definitely in the 2 years I've been this chair, I've seen advancement and improvement. I think there's still room for improvement, right? I think we've pointed out a few times there's still procedures and policies that need to be tightened up and made stronger to ensure, you know, a strong fiscal background moving forward. But my feeling is that we had kind of gotten over a few humps that had to do with the change in chairmanship, with kind of me pushing a little bit harder because I want you out. Right? I want to make sure that this gets out, so I push a little harder on some of those procedures. And I felt that we were making some progress, but, you know, unfortunately right now we're kind of at a stalemate, and that is really unfortunate. So. All right, the next item on the agenda is the report of the mayor. So Mayor, this is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll try to keep this brief and as fair as I can. So, Madam Chair, I sent you earlier today legal proceedings that were filed today as a follow-up to a lawsuit that was issued against me and our finance director, Charles. I also included with that a press release from the council president. The reason I sent it to you, assuming that you haven't seen the email, is to kindly ask for a written response. Now, I know that the commission has said individually and as a whole that you don't want to be bothered with a lot of the political infighting or nonsense, if you will, that's going on. However, as an elected official, because this press release was passed around the community with her name on it, residents are calling me asking for clarity around this document. And in the document, Madam Chair, she uses you as reference to her document to give it credibility. Now, it says something that I don't believe you said, but so that I'm not fighting it, I'm simply asking you to look at the press release and give us a written response as to what you said or didn't say, so that residents will stop calling me in that regard. In order to try to move the city forward, I keep working, I keep pushing, I keep trying. I actually tried something out of the charter called a 103, mayor trying to call a council meeting just to get 3 documents looked at and considered, right? Councilman Martin had stated that if we gave him documents he requested, he would be in favor of it. So I thought that would be good enough to move this city forward and get the permanent appropriations passed. I'm still trying. I'm going to keep trying, right? There are a number of pieces of legislation that have went down to city council and have not been acted upon, right? I'm scared and I'm nervous because some of the legislation set down there deals with grants. One in particular is the FEMA grant. So city council, although they passed the FEMA grant, there's no appropriations to execute it. So because there's no appropriations to execute it, it's just sitting there, and I'm not sure how long it's going to sit there before something happens. I do know that the company that's selling us the truck has already stated that the quote date is gone. So now we're looking at a $3,000 to maybe $9,000 increase in the price of the vehicle. So I'm concerned, and I just got to put it out there because I'm trying to do my job, right? And I think I've done pretty well. And as we've all alluded to, the revenues have gone up. So it's with great pride that I state to you, the captain just brought in the report from the tow yard. We started January 19th. Today is February 17th. We have collected in-house $40,000. Now that doesn't include our take versus what we have to pay the tow, but $40,000 in less than a month. and that's at the tow yard. So we have increased revenues. We are moving in the right direction. If I'm forced now, because of the 85%, because of the no permanent appropriations, to now shut the tow yard down, we would be moving backwards. I'm simply not sure what to do here, right? And I'm going to keep trying. So with that, unless there's any questions or concerns, that will conclude my report. And I kept it real brief.
All right, any questions or comments for the mayor? Ms. Morgan, you're muted.
Sorry. Mayor,
Yes.
I guess I am trying to square how I mean, I'm excited about the tow yard. I hope I'm never the one who gets towed by you. However, I wonder, you know, with this revenue stream, how is it impacted because of this 85%? If, you know, by expenditures, because you know this is a new and separate revenue stream. How do you square that?
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Chair, but when you look at last year's March,
Oh,
let's say we had 10 employees. Since last March, we've added service employees, building and housing employees. The tow yard is brand new. So I think we have 4 full-time and 3 part-time over there, right? That now with the reduction and we got to shut it down. So I'm scratching my head because you never want to take a step forward and then be forced to move back. So correct, Madam Chair, if that was a wrong analysis, please.
No, I think the issue that we're running into here, though, is that there are not appropriations for that expenditure.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's not the 85% that's really going to put the limitation there. It's the lack of appropriation. And that really is up to council to correct. So yes, I agree. It's frustrating that you move forward and something like this pushes you backwards.
Okay.
Because that is not what we want for the city. But I don't feel at this time that what's pushing you back is the action that the commission is taking.
Agreed. Thank you.
So.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
That just underscores the fact that you and council really have some working out to do.
Yeah.
I will continue to try. I was so desperate. We found a rule in the book that allows the mayor to call a meeting. I tried to call a meeting just to say, hey, what other questions or concerns do you have as a council so that we can move this legislation forward? And quite frankly, we didn't have a quorum, but the meeting was still great because there were a lot of questions from the directors of the departments as well as the judge, right? And the judge is squarely in this as a separate branch of government because now he doesn't have funding to continue to operate. So I'll keep throwing out the olive branch. I'll keep trying to work with city council. I appreciate your concerns and your help in any way.
All right.
With that.
Mr. Davis.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we can sympathize with things that you're saying, but as a commission, it's just not our place to get involved in the politics of the mayor and the city council. And, you know, you all, as Ms. Morgan said, and the chair, that you all have some cleaning up to do. You all, until you all get yourselves together and come forth to us appropriately, there's really not much we can do to help you. and you know, I want very much to do so, and I trust that the other commissioners do likewise. But, you know, please understand the dilemma that you all are facing us in, concomitant with the questions you are raising to us, or the concerns you're raising to us.
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, I'll keep working. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, guess that concludes my report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Mayor. And now it's report of the City Council. Ms. Stevenson.
Good afternoon. I would like to briefly just respond to a couple things that the mayor said at the end of my report. What I want to bring to the commission's attention is that as council president, I brought a myriad of things are brought to my attention that I must review and make a determination as how to proceed. I have, as required, brought these matters to the attention of all members of the council as they arose and were questionable. It is unfortunate that at this time the council is split in its decision-making capacity. This is due to the differing levels of understanding as to why we were elected, the responsibilities that come with the honor of being elected, and who we are to serve. Some of my colleagues would state that everything that is wrong regarding this budget and any subsequent situations at this time between the council and the mayor is the fault of this president, who was elected in November of 2019 to a term that began January 2nd, 2020. As the president of this body, it is to be anticipated that all things wrong are someone's responsibility. However, I ask your indulgence. The mayor is responsible for day-to-day operations according to the charter. This includes full operations of the city's 5 or 6 departments and all operations therein. The council is responsible to appropriate and legislate according to the Charter of East Cleveland. The council does not report to the mayor reports to the council. The Financial Planning and Supervision Commission is the body that provides compliance in the fiscal emergency matters. In November 2020, the commission, who has control of the fiscal emergency status, notified the council of the city of East Cleveland that the mayor was spending funds that were unapproved, unauthorized, and unappropriated. Further, the mayor of the city of East Cleveland was advised that he must abide by the law. This information is paraphrased in the meeting minutes of the commission meeting held on November 17, 2020. According to the mayor and his continued communication with the public, he has stated this is not a true statement and that the chair of the commission never made these statements. The amount of funds found after a preliminary investigation found that there were $1.785 in CARES Act funding expended without council knowledge or appropriation. As the preliminary review proceeded, by December 2020, it was established that more than $1 million was expended in the general fund without council knowledge or appropriation authority. One could assume that the first infraction was a misstep. Is a misstep on the part of the mayor in all the excitement of receiving the COVID-19 funds, relief funds. But when at the same time there are funds simultaneously being expended from the general fund without council's knowledge, you shake your head and ask yourself if what you're seeing is true. When this issue happens a third time, after the mayor was advised in an open public meeting in December of the commission not to overspend the budget, and it occurs again, it becomes clear that these actions are intentional, just as intentional as the statement the mayor made to the chair.
Ms. Stevenson, I'm going to interrupt you here, okay? Just as I interrupted the mayor, because what I do not want this to turn into is a discussion on who's right and who's wrong.
Okay, then I'll move.
The role of the commission, and if you have a report of actions of the council that impact the work of the commission, please provide us that information, but please do not, this is not productive. I just have to say that.
Okay. Let me finish. I'm done with that part now. As a resident of the city, a representative of the residents of the city of East Cleveland, and in my sworn capacity as council president, I humbly request relief from this burdensome situation through the commission's redress. I ask that the Financial Planning and Supervisory Commission step in and implore all resources at our disposal to stop this continuing raid of the city's coffers. The city has suffered enough. We
So
can no
let me-
longer
Ms.
afford to
Stevenson,
have
I'm going to
expenditure.
interrupt again because I want you to put aside your prepared speech here. And I need to tell
I'm
you
done.
that the role of the commission is not the day-to-day operations of the city. The role of the commission is to ensure that the city puts together a plan that can lead it out of fiscal emergency and that they don't enter into debt that would make it not possible to leave fiscal emergency. That's our role, okay? Our role
Okay.
is not, it is not to sit down, you know, we're gonna tell the mayor when he is not following the recovery plan and that there are problems with that. We will point out that there are issues sometimes with how appropriations and expenditures line and ask that it be corrected. That's our role. That's our role. But we can't be called on to come in and fix budgetary problems. That is the responsibility of council and the administration to get the budget in order. And we do not have authority to do more than that. And I just want you to understand that.
Okay, let me respond to the situation with the judge. The judge came to the meeting and met with the council. We had a series of open meetings and told us what the situation was with his budget. That situation was corrected. With regard to the expenditures and the tow yard, the council never got any information about a tow yard. So we're finding out about a tow yard operations just like you are. So if we don't know about it, I don't think we could address it. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna let that go there. Does anybody have comments or questions for the council president?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the council president has to understand that we're commissioners, not mediators. And if she's going to present something to this commission, it should be something that's appropriate in reference to that which we are discussing. And that dissertation that I just heard her give us is a waste of time. As commissioners, you know, I'm not going to sit here and listen to someone's political agenda. And so please, it's a waste of time. Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions for the city council president? All right, Mayor King.
Yes. Council President, I'd like to state here in front of the whole commission, I am willing to sit down and meet with you and meet with council so that we can iron out these differences and get these 3 pieces of critical legislation passed. At your convenience, I will meet with you, please.
All right. Okay, if there are no other questions for city council, we can go on to the next item on the agenda. That's going to be the determination of our next meeting date and time. If I understand correctly, the council meetings in a month are the first and third Tuesday of each month. So perhaps we could wait until after the third Tuesday of the month to meet again so that you have plenty of time. You have ample meeting opportunities to discuss the recovery plan.
How about the 17th again?
Wait, St. Patty's Day.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, not the 17th. I was just looking at 2 Wednesdays in a row that are 17. Okay. Well, maybe the 18th. That'll be a Thursday.
I can do the 18th. What about other members of the commission?
I'm
I-
free all day on the 18th.
Yeah, I'm available on the 18th, but I have a meeting that runs until 2:30 in the afternoon. So after then is fine.
Okay. Attorney Davis? If you're talking, you're muted.
Yeah, that'll help, won't it?
Yeah,
I was looking because I was supposed to start trial. The 18th is fine. It's probably a 3-day trial, so the 18th is fine.
okay. And Council President Stevenson, is the 18th okay?
That's good.
All right, I'm gonna, why don't we plan then again at 3 o'clock on the 18th?
Yeah, that works for me. Thanks.
Okay. All right. All right, I think with that then, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All right, thank you. In a second,
Second.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, that sounded like an all in favor was everyone, so.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Everybody, thank you for your time today.
thank you,
Have a
Madam
good
Chair.
evening and
You too.
stay warm and safe in the snow.
Yes, thank you. You
100%.
too.
You.
All right, see you all in a month.